to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Show here. This video is because I said I was going to post after work, and I was thinking how many times I should post, and I usually get a little loud for the not USJ, for the sports festival and the finale, so it's currently about to, well, close to 1 in the morning, and tomorrow is Christmas Eve, so I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be posting one video, and then I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night. Now, it's actually really funny. I don't know. Well, I actually kind of busted one of my fingers open. It's not very big, but it's like right by my nail. And the reason why I busted it was because I was put in charge of moving dog food. And I took our pallet out, and I started picking up dog food, and I was throwing it around and doing all that. I almost started laughing, but someone called me an absolute unit because they saw me carrying 3 50-pound bags of dog food in my hands. They called me an absolute unit, and whenever I dropped them, they literally made the loudest thud. It was hilarious. Not even that, as soon as I picked up a dog food bag, as soon as I grabbed it and I pulled it upwards, I don't know what happened with it, but the bottom didn't catch on anything, but the bottom fell out of it, ripping the bag open. Like, the entire bottom of the bag either got ripped open, or wasn't packaged properly. Now, going into this what if. I am going to be starting with everybody on the bus. People are talking about their quirks, and this is whenever Todoroki would ask the one simple question. He's asking Deku if he's Fat Gum's secret love child. Deku would say, no, it's nothing like that, Todoroki. His quirk is entirely his own. Granted, it may not be his dad's quirk or his mom's quirk, but he knows for a fact he's not Fat Gum's secret love child. Todoroki would ask how he knows, and Deku would say that they performed a paternity test. Todoroki's kind of confused, saying, really? Deku would have said, yeah. It was kind of weird because he didn't know at the time, but now that he thinks about it, it kind of makes sense. And this is whenever everyone would immediately ask for a better explanation of his quirk. Because they say that he essentially your quirks essentially you just burn calories by fighting. Deku would say, no, it's not anything like that. What happens with my quirk is, the more body fat I have, I can manipulate it and do everything like that, like gum. So, one thing I like to do is, if I have more body fat, then that means that I can actually use my quirk better. Now, one thing that happens is, if my body works like ballistic gel, or my body fat does, whenever you punch it, it immediately absorbs the entire impact and essentially stops it entirely. So if you were to punch me, your hand would stop almost immediately where you hit me at. It wouldn't slide, and it shouldn't do that. But not just that, I actually store up that energy in my body fat. And whenever I go to use it, that is whenever I start, becoming skinny. Because I'm redirecting that energy and redirecting it, or storing it, essentially is how I use it. I store it in my body fat, and I use it to attack. So it's kind of like a stockpile quirk in its own way. Now, I can also, if I need to, if I've taken enough blows, I can actually create a super explosion. Kind of like Fat Gum, but mine's a bit different. It's actually a bit more advanced. People were asking what he means, and Deku would immediately open his mouth as Aizawa would say that they're here and they need to get off the bus. Now, after that, Deku, him and everyone else would get off the bus, and 13's talking. She would immediately say that good quirks can be heroic or villainous. She would immediately look at Deku and she'd be confused at how tall he is. She would also say that some quirks can even do that. Now, afterward, Shigaraki would arrive with the League of Villains. Now, the League of Villains, they would arrive, and Shigaraki would immediately be hit in the face with a ball. Now, Shigaraki is confused as the hand would fall off his face, and he would go to pick it up. As another ball would, a ball would just be bouncing off of a lot of the villains. Now, they're confused because this thing's essentially very, very, well, it's the size of a kickball, and it's actually just not actually stopping at all. So Shigaraki thinks this is someone's quirk, and he would immediately go to actually try and punch it, or just stop it like that. Now, this is whenever Deku, he would have actually tried to capture Shigaraki, but as soon as Shigaraki actually touched his shirt, as soon as he felt something, he immediately just used kinetic energy and bounced himself away. Which is whenever Deku would look down and he would see that his shirt is actually basically tearing itself apart. As he would realize that if that guy touches him, he might be done for. As Shigaraki would immediately get pissed off, saying that he needs to summon, or Kirigiri needs to summon the Nomu. Now, after the Nomu is summoned, teleport all the students away. The students will be teleported away, and during that time, the Nomu would be summoned. Now, this is whenever Deku, he's falling and he's kind of confused. He's trying to figure out what to do, and this is whenever he kind of has an idea, so he tries to stretch out his limbs and do all that. Now, as soon as he would do that, he would find that he has no success in what he thought he could do. Because he has slowed his descent, but he hasn't done it the way he wanted to. Now, if you guys know how a flying squirrel works, they essentially have folds of fat that they can actually use to glide. Deku's somewhat doing that with his arms, but it's not really working since his legs, or he doesn't have a space in his legs to where it can happen. Now, because of this, let us go to... Actually, yeah, no. Never mind. I can still stay here. No, I was gonna jump to everyone getting ashore, but I needed to do something to make sense. Now, this is whenever Deku would somewhat try gliding over to the boat, and Sue would actually jump on with Bakugo. Now, as soon as they get on, Deku, he is asking if everyone's okay, and Bakugo is saying that he's fine. Sue would say that she's also good, but they're surrounded by villains. Bakugo is saying that this is stupid, this sucks, if only he could use his second quirk. And this is whenever Deku, he's thinking that Bakugo, the way he used that quirk, he charged it up in his hand. Kind of like my attack. So, that means our quirks share similarities. What is one thing that is similar about our quirks? Or maybe there's more. No, wait. Wait a minute. I stockpile the impacts in my body, but they're always everywhere. Bakugo, I have an idea. Bakugo would immediately look up at Deku, and Deku would tell Bakugo that he thinks he knows the problem with his quirk. Bakugo would ask what he means, and Deku would tell him that, you remember whenever we were kids, how on the playground, whenever I got overloaded, my entire body started glowing and I had to exit my shell. Bakugo would say, yeah, it's kind of hard to forget. The teachers yelled at us for a solid hour. Or the teachers yelled at us for an hour. And Deku would say, try charging it up all throughout your body. Or try turning it on and keeping it on instead of just trying to use it and turn it off. Bakugo would actually try charging this up in his arm, or doing it in his body. Bakugo would somewhat do it, but the way he's doing it is he's actually overclocking himself. Now, he's actually going at around 35%, which he thinks is his maximum, and he's actually saying that this is really cool, but he's not sure how long he can hold on to this, because it feels very bad. Deku would say he just has to hold on to it long enough for them to get to the mainland. He needs to do Deku a favor. I need you to hit me. Did you just tell me to hit you? Yes, why? Well, usually I always picture you saying that, but I just never do anything. Anyways, now, this is whenever Bakugo, he would actually just throw one punch at Deku, and he would feel muscle strain in his arm, which he would immediately say, and Deku would say that that's not good then. As he would tell Bakugo to leap off and have Sue grab him, which he would do, and as soon as they get off into the air, actually a good distance away, Deku would immediately charge up his attack and just release the power of Bakugo used, and he would do so, actually somewhat creating a vortex. Now, after that happens, this is whenever they would all get to a shore. Now, Deku, he has actually been saying that Bakugo needs to try and turn it down or turn it off. Bakugo would actually turn it down to around 15%, where he would say that this is actually a lot more comfortable, as he's actually able to move his arms around and do all that, and he's actually able to jump and actually do things that Deku can do. Now, as soon as that happens, this is whenever Deku, he would look over and he's looking around, he's trying to find everyone, and this is whenever Shigaraki would appear in front of them, and Deku would immediately see him actually go to reach out for Sue. As soon as Deku saw that, he immediately tried going toward to grab his hand, or going to punch Shigaraki. As soon as he went to actually punch him, his hand would have actually stopped, as he would be met with the Nomu. Now, Shigaraki is saying that that was a good effort, but that's not even going to work, as the Nomu has a shock absorption quirk. Deku would say, really? So do I. That's pretty cool. What? Are you... Ha? As the Nomu would immediately just stare at Deku, confused, and Deku would try and punch it again. Now, after that, Shigaraki would order the Nomu to attack Deku. The Nomu would actually be punching Deku, and Deku would just immediately put up his hands, actually taking on the hits, which surprises Shigaraki, as he thinks that they should have known about this kid. In fact, it seems like his quirk might be stronger than the Nomu's, but he's very large. Now, as soon as that would happen, Deku's actually just doing all that. He's actually he's blocking the punches, but he's trying to use the power in small bursts. So he's doing that. He's somewhat actually damaging the Nomu, but as soon as he would throw a punch or anything like that, the Nomu would automatically regenerate. Now, this is whenever Deku and the Nomu would get into a hold, and Deku would immediately activate his quirk in his hands, actually being able to hold his own with the Nomu, as Bakugo would have actually ran in and tried punching it in the back, essentially trying to aim for its spine. As soon as Bakugo hit it in the spine, the Nomu would have immediately he wouldn't have done anything, but Bakugo's hand actually dug into Nomu's back. So he would just start blowing off explosions in that area, over and over again, which does nothing. Now, no, well, Shigaraki's actually going over the hole that thing is made to kill All Might. Side buckle. And that is whenever the Nomu would actually throw a flurry punches over and over again, as Deku would say that he gets that, but you don't really know what I've been doing this whole time, do you? Shigaraki would be confused, and he would say that shock absorption is just one half of my quirk. As he would have immediately both of his hands glow, and he would actually just have his entire body start glowing in just a green light. Shigaraki is confused, as Deku would say that one part of his quirk is that he can redistribute the energy. As he would immediately go to grab the Nomu, he would wrap his entire... He's actually able to... I did say his body was like gum, so he's actually somewhat able to encase the Nomu in a ball, but just his limbs are sticking out of it, and he would immediately just come out of the fat, or out of the shell, and Shigaraki's even more confused. As Deku would immediately tell Bakugo that they need to get out of here, Bakugo would grab Sue, and he would actually grab Deku by the hand, and he would actually just start running. Now, as soon as that would have happened, Shigaraki was actually doing what they're doing and trying to get away, as the entire USJ would just be met with an earth-shattering explosion. Now, because of that, everyone would have turned and they would have saw this, as this essentially just destroyed the Nomu. Now, Shigaraki's looking around and he's trying to find the Nomu, and all he's able to find is a puddle of blood, which is very off-putting to him. He's saying that doesn't make sense. The Nomu should have been able to regenerate at an atomic level, so if this isn't the Nomu's blood, whose is it? As you would see Deku actually coughing up blood a bit, and he's actually trying to regain his breath. Sue's asking Deku if he's okay, and Baku would actually see this, but he's still looking at Shigaraki. Deku would say that he's fine, but just doing that takes a lot out of him. Whenever Fat Gum tried it, he nearly died, and he was actually in the explosion. But the fact that he doesn't have his shell anymore just makes him a bit more vulnerable. Now, Shigaraki's saying that they'll pay for this, as All Might would bust through the door. As soon as that would have happened, Shigaraki would immediately look and see All Might, and Kirigiri would have actually made them retreat. Now, this is whenever All Might would actually run in, seeing what happened, and Bakugo would actually tell All Might that they're all fine and that he actually had to use his quirk. Or he actually had to use his enhancement quirk. Which All Might would actually be really interested, and he would say, "So you finally learned how to control it?" That's good, as he would say that Deku actually gave him the idea. As All Might's actually looking around, asking where Deku is, as he would see that Deku is actually on the ground, coughing up blood. Or he's just sitting there coughing blood on his knees. He would actually run over, asking Midoriya if he's okay, and Deku would say that he's fine, aside from what he thinks might be a few bruised ribs and some internal bleeding. Now, the reason for this is because the way Deku has to exit his shell, it's like... Essentially, it's like... Okay. He's like a Russian doll. You have to like take your time to get out of the shell, but trying to exit it really fast is like trying to rip it out from the middle of like the whole set. So it's very dangerous. So Deku can do that, but the faster he does it, the more dangerous it is. Because it's basically, he built the entire fat and the shell around him. So this is what everyone sees, as this is actually what's in there. So it's still body fat, don't get me wrong, but it's just, it's a bit more complicated. Now then, this is whenever All Might would Deku would go to Recovery Girl, and the pro heroes are trying to see if everyone's okay. Momo and everyone, Kaminari and everyone, they're actually okay, because whenever that one villain with electricity tried to actually threaten Momo, Jiro, and Kaminari, Momo would have actually told him that his electricity quirk might actually be very dangerous, but she can give him a weapon that's even more dangerous. He would have asked what it is, as she would make a plunger gun, shooting him in the face with it actually blinding him and shutting him up at the same time. Which is whenever Snipe would have actually taken a shot. Now, why did I include that part? Because I thought it would be funny. And I usually sometimes do little funny bits at the end, and I thought this one was particularly good. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have an amazing night. I'm going to be trying to enjoy the rest of mine, because I cannot actually stand on my feet right now. Also, never mind. I was going to make a joke, but that would ruin the whole what's Deku's hero name going to be. Because I somewhat have an idea, but it's a bit harder without thinking just, oh, Fat Gum, or the next Fat Gum. Yeah, it's a bit weird. No. Like I said again, guys, have a good night.